has for you, you will get. But when we're just talking about love, that's what we're opening up, the price of loving me. And we're talking about self-care. And we just went over the question, what is love? Do you know what love is? Do you have an idea?
I would say the way a person treats you.
Okay, it's an affection.
The feeling, affection.
It's an affection, it's an emotion. And what makes that so dangerous is because, especially women, we're very, very emotional. Lord have mercy. And all we got to do is get off on the wrong track. And before we realize it, what started off as a little pea has become a whole big old mountain. And it didn't have to be. And so let's look at the definition that I have here, and then we're going to move on. And just jump in, just jump in as we go forward. It says, the price of loving oneself means that while the act of self-love itself is not a cost, not loving yourself can come with significant negative consequences in terms of mental health, self-esteem, and overall life satisfaction, making it a valuable investment to prioritize self-love. Essentially, the price is the potential cost of not taking care of your own well-being by neglecting self-love. What is the cost of not loving yourself? And we all know, ain't not nobody in here is exempt. No one.
Becoming overwhelmed.
Becoming overwhelmed. Anybody else?
Self-care.
Self-care. Mother, Queen Mother?
Understanding.
Understanding. What's the price of self-love? What's the price of not having it? And it's impossible that you don't even know you don't have it. God. See, you're gonna take us way out there. We was on the shore, she's gonna take us way out there. That thing by itself is why so many women are in the situations that they're in, because they're making decisions based on temporary situations. And once you make certain situations, certain decisions, it takes you down another path. And a lot of times, I don't know about you, but I can't remember any time in my growing up that anyone took the time to teach me how to love myself. No one. And the problem is, a lot of times, is that they didn't know.
That's right. That's right. They didn't know.
They didn't know.
Sure.
There's certain things I can't blame my mother.
I can't blame mom. Sure.
Especially when they just came out of slavery and stuff, and they really didn't get the education, education that they should have had. Their parents.
Their parents.
Yeah.
And it wasn't an openness about things then as
time.
it is now. Right now, it's real open.
It's real
Parents
open.
and children talk about a lot of things. My father always left the door open. If you have anything, you can say it to me. Anything you want to say, just come to me right. You know, and a lot of parents don't incorporate that.
They don't.
You know, children don't feel comfortable talking to their parents and stuff about certain things. Like I testified on last week on how I went to visit my granddaughters on the other week, and one of them, she valedictorian of her class.
Oh, wow.
She's number 2 in the nation or nationals or whatever regarding math. And so she has all these things she's accomplished thus far, but she miserable inside.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
She feel like she don't have no support emotionally. And she was crying to me, and I was like, oh my goodness, what do I do? Because she wants secrecy, and she want me to keep a secret as well. So therefore, I'm stuck in a rock and a hard place, but I know what I need to do. All I can do is pray. Because prayer does what I can't do. You know what I mean? But I was hurt
Inside.
and felt hopeless, like I don't know what to do with what you're giving me. So every day I make a point of sending her something, a text of some kind, letting her know I'm here. And you know, and if you want to talk to me, I say, if you want me to come get you because you don't want to be around whatever you're being around, just let me know. I'll leave and do what I gotta do.
Wow.
Cause I'm that type of grandmother.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like when my youngest son was having issues with his baby mama stuff, I said, if I need to stop working and come help you raise your son, I will do that. But God saw fit where he took her home.
Okay.
You know what I mean? She no longer with us. So my son don't have to deal with those things. But
Yeah.
it's just stuff. You know what I mean? With women
Yeah.
go through. And it starts a lot of time as a child.
As a child.
And I worked around children before, and one of the boys used to say he was being abused by his mother's boyfriend, but was afraid to tell her. Didn't tell her. Kids hold on to so much stuff. So when you grow up, women, when we grow up, we so bowed down
Yes.
with so much stuff,
Right.
and we carry it into our adulthood.
And it keeps us from really even knowing
How to
who we
love
are.
ourselves. And that's yes.
You don't
we
even know
lose
who
it.
you are. You have no
No clue.
You have no clue.
I used to say about me, I wore so many masks that it was ridiculous
That's the truth.
when I was out there. You know, I was so glad I was unable to unmask who I am now. I love me right now.
That's right.
And it take a while to get
To
there.
get there, absolutely.
And you,
Sister,
we put up
Trustee.
such a front
Mhm.
around people.
but when we taught that though, when we taught that,
Yeah.
we only do what we see.
You know, and then we also do things
Sorry,
out of
sorry.
spite.
That's my
We
cousin.
do that. If we don't like someone or we trying to promote ourselves,
That's right.
then we make people feel uncomfortable because we're not really showing them that you care about them too. We need to stop that because people are hurting inside.
Yes, they
And
are.
they'll spend their $200 credit card just to make
the
other
part.
people think
That's
that
right.
They got going on,
I know, absolutely.
and that life is all right. Sister, Tyson.
That's just like I've been abused most of my life. It's point simple as that. But I look up to my grandmother to a prime example. Everything I couldn't tell my mom, my grandmother was already there. Things I couldn't tell my mother, I could tell my grandmother. So now, me being a mother and a grandmother, I'm trying to instill what my mother didn't put in me to my daughter. But she got this thing, well, Mom, you're not my mom. My grandmother was my mother. But yet, who she's with, you know what I mean?
All right.
Yes.
Okay? So I still tell her what I need to tell her that my mother didn't tell me. So I want to rub off what my grandmother told me before I could tell her.
So don't we understand now how important it is as sisters in God that we become what other sisters need? Because we assume that someone has been taught this, that they've been grown up, and that somebody has shared something with them, and that's not necessarily true. And you be wondering, why in the world is she acting half crazy? Don't she know better than that? Why she keep picking the same man? Why? Because most damage to all of us has been done before age 7.
Yes.
Age 7. And some of us are fortunate to maybe reach 9. But that's grace. And because we don't understand what is going on the inside, and in fact, some of us are scared. We don't really want to know. We act like we do, but we really don't. Because the root of those things goes so deep. And nobody else, your mama sometimes don't got time. What you crying about? You got this going on, you got this, you got money, you got car, you got a good husband, whatever, but that's not the point.
That's right, absolutely.
It's not the point. How do I fix what's broken on the inside? And that's why we started this year off with Hadassah. Hadassah was broken. She didn't have mother and she didn't have father. Then she was placed someplace that she shouldn't even have been. But the grace of God and all his wisdom gave her a year. A year.
This is amazing that her uncle saw that in her.
Potential. Because we always need someone. And that's why when I hear people say things in church when it comes to other people's children, it sends me over the edge. This is the place where it is the hospital.
That's right, absolutely.
A working process,
Absolutely.
progress.
And if you know better, if you know better, why aren't you not sharing with your sister?
Some don't wanna listen, you do try to tell them.
Okay, we're gonna go to trustee. Trustee got something to say?
I also saw where, right before the Men and Women March, I was a part of that in Philadelphia. Right before the women were going through changes with each other. They wouldn't speak, or they roll their eyes when they see them, and it's just, they didn't acknowledge our sisters. And I saw a big change after that, where women realized, you don't have to get in my business, just smile when you see me, or acknowledge that I'm here, and just, you don't have to take it no further. And I noticed that women now today are a lot better than they used to be.
Okay.
It was like they would look you up and down and make you feel like you came from nothing,
Because we didn't know how we were going to be embraced. When we had the last Saturday meeting, I think I told my husband, I said, I asked a question and it startled me when I looked at the women's faces, and I think I said something to the effect of, who can you share something with? And they were like, who? They didn't have anyone. How could you go through life and not have someone? Because when I was growing up, we had best friends.
Yes.
Right? We had somebody who was ride or die.
Yeah.
But I'm noticing even in the church that we're not having those kind of relationships anymore. And because we're so insecure with our own self, that we can't trust other people. There are some things, believe it or not, you can't even tell your mother. Because she can't handle it. She can't handle that thing. And so as we are women in church, women who serve the Most High God, we have to really depend on who he is. Welcome, my sister. So glad you're here. I was wondering if you're gonna come. And what we don't understand, and I think isn't taught enough, is that it has to start with who he is. It do. It has to start with who God is. Father, what are you saying about my life? What is it that I'm ordained to do?
Show me me.
Show me me.
And if you ask him that in prayer, he'll show you.
Yes, he will.
You'll be like, I got that in me. I know I said to myself, that's part of who I am. Like Prego is in there.
It's in there. And a lot of times we got so used to walking the way we want to walk, and we do what we want to do, and after we mess it up and jack it up, and then we come back to God and say, can you fix this for me? But why did we start there?
Because we're so used to doing it until we get in trouble.
Until we get in trouble.
I
But
mean,
then
we
it's too
down-
late.
We're down on our knees.
Yeah.
Pray.
Rolling and slobbing.
Yeah.
And that's always been the case, even with Israel, God's chosen people.
That's right.
They go out and they do their thing. We go out and do our thing. And then it's like when we get in trouble, and this is what the Lord wants us to do, to call out to him.
That's right.
That's what he wanted us to do the
That's
first
what he
time. But we, the human part of us want to fix it. The human part of us, that I can handle it, whatever. Until we realize that, okay, this right here, my extremity is being God's opportunity to do what he wanted to do in the beginning.
Right?
And so it's just human nature for us to do that and feel that way.
That's
And then we have to go right back to square one, like where we should have been to start with.
Right.
Lord, on my knees, like, Lord, I'm giving this to you.
Fix it, always said, fix it for me.
That's right. I mean, we really prayed in.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
That's when he get the most out of us.
Yep.
And I think that's why I say to myself, he is smiling, saying, I told you I could bring you.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right, because he will. And a lot of times when we don't look on the inside, and I always tell people I talk with, especially family members, and you go to tell them something, and next thing you say, well, you ain't got that quite right. It's not about me. It's about what you're getting ready to do. And I'm trying to help you. But because you don't want to look on the inside, a lot of times we don't even want to die to ourselves. We ain't dying. We got so much flesh up in here until it's crazy. How can you not like somebody just because of the way that they look?
Right.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Or you don't like the way they talk?
Yes.
Where that come from?
Yeah.
Because most of us don't realize that it's something in us
That's what that is.
that is reflected back to us. And we don't like what it looked like, but we won't tell the truth. We won't tell the truth. We won't tell the truth. It's not about me. It's a simple fact that you know you need to do some work, but you don't want to do that. But you know why? It takes sacrifice. It means I have to, I always tell people, every class I've ever taught, you need to have a book, you need to have a journal, you need to be able to write. Because you will be surprised that when you sit down and you start writing, stuff start coming out, you'll be like, where in the world? And how did that come up? And I didn't even know that was in there. Yeah, it was. It's in there. Those things are in there because we present a face that's not even us. Because first of all, we don't even know how to love ourselves. We don't.
And then not knowing how to love you, you can't love nobody else.
You can't.
Not like, because when you love somebody, like we said earlier, it's a sacrifice.
It's a sacrifice.
It's communication.
It's communication.
You know?
And the first person we do wrong is God.
Yeah,
We give him a piece of us.
that's right.
The piece of him that we want him to have. And he's saying, I want all of you. Don't give me a piece of that. Because when you give God a piece of that, you will never become whole.
And you never get the fullness of what he can do. He can do some amazing things. I mean, from the minutest stuff, the smallest, to the biggest. You know, our mind can't even comprehend the stuff he can do for us. If only we trust.
Yes.
And that's another part of love, trusting.
It's trusting me. What we do, we get the man in our life. Okay, we get the man in our life that's supposed to make us happy. And I know when I was coming up, they used to teach, you bring half, he bring half.
Yeah.
And then we got to the point where we learned that didn't work.
That's right.
Okay, you're supposed to be whole, I'm supposed to be whole, and we're supposed to come whole together.
That's right.
But what I'm finding in the church is that we're missing those mothers that used to sit in their white,
Yeah.
sometimes wear the same dress Sunday after Sunday. But they can see you and they say, babe, come here.
That's right.
Come here, what's going on with you?
And you listen to her too.
Yeah.
Because
Respect her.
she had a way. You understood that knowledge that she had, that wisdom that she had, came through experience.
Yes.
That's right.
It wasn't something that she was just making up and looking in the Bible and trying to figure out something that somebody else didn't figure out. That comes with experience.
Yes.
And you can only have experience when you are going before God. We don't want to pray. That's one of the hardest things for most of us to do, pray. We don't set time aside to pray. But then how does that little girl in you get healed?
part.